That's right. You're listening to another episode of the Co-Main Event Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I'm Chad Dundas. That's Ben Folks. We're both longtime MMA journalists, and for the last 14 years, we've been meeting here every week to break down all the action in the wild, weird, and occasionally wonderful world of mixed martial arts. Man, I guess when it rains, it pours, man. We got a lot of stuff happening this week. We're just kicking off a pretty big week in MMA. We had UFC 328 over the weekend. Fairly shocking results there, if not necessarily scintillating, I would say. And then, of course, we're getting into Rousey Carano Fight Week, the debut of most valuable promotions in MMA. So there is a lot of stuff for us to talk about, and I think we might as well just get started with it. It perhaps, Ben, what we learned over the weekend is that the best thing you can do for Sean Strickland is book him in an unwinnable fight.
Yeah.
Because he seems to fare better in those bouts than he has any right to. I wanted to kick us off. We got a lot of listener mail, obviously, and a lot of it had to do with Strickland and Chimaev. I wanted to start us off with this one that we got from Mike Sterius, who wrote in.
I like everything about that name.
You too. Subject line: best worst fighter? ?
Okay.
A legitimate win over Izzy after he's just knocked out Alex, then a legitimate, albeit close, win over Chimaev after he just ragdolled DDP to cap off his unstoppable march toward the title. Has there ever been a worse fighter with two better wins, and both of them for the title too? I mean, what now, Ben? What now must be said of Sean Strickland?
The best worst fighter is an interesting possibility. Let's suggest this, that Mike Sterius has given us a hypothesis. One of these things that maybe we sometimes say under the heading of, I'm not sure I even believe this, but.
Yeah.
Because it's true that when you look at Sean Strickland, like what he does in individual fights, what his whole game is, what he's done throughout his career, you look at him and you go, that seems like one of the guys at middleweight, but never the guy at middleweight. And yet he's a two-time champion, and his two wins, especially this one, the other one over Israel Adesanya, it was shocking at the time, especially stylistically. We thought Sean Strickland's going to have nothing for what Israel Adesanya does. So when he beat him, we went, wow, did not see that one coming. Since then, I think there's been a little bit of a revision just because people saw Israel Adesanya hasn't done great since then. So They went, you happened along right as he was sliding down the backside of the mountain. And that's how you got that win. But coming in here and getting this one over Chimaev, who everybody was talking about being like, get comfortable, middleweights. None of you are going upward to the title as long as this guy is here. You need him to leave the division before you have a hope of wearing that gold. And he comes in there in Chimaev's first title defense and beats him. Now, there is, though, the question of, first of all, did he, though?
Yeah.
And second of all, like, I think that the way he beat him was by first spend the first round not losing. First round, just don't get choked. That was the only thing he did in the first round.
As it turned out, it was very important for him to not lose in that round.
Yeah, and again, remember what we were talking about? We were sitting here saying with Robert Whitaker, hey, if he get through the first round with Chimaev, maybe it becomes a different fight. Couldn't get through the first round. He also was trying to not get choked in that first round. Couldn't do it.
Can I just say that, to our credit, not to blow our horn too much, because we were over here on the Patreon last week being like, Sean Strickland has no chance. But what we did say was, but if he is able to survive that initial onslaught by Khamzat Chimaev, that Strickland's fighting style, that his general game could give Chimaev trouble. We did say that out loud. I'm not sure we believed it, but it was a thing that we said. And, to take it a step further, I'm not totally sure it was Sean Strickland's fighting style that won him this fight. I guess you could say it is, but there were some other factors at play, obviously, here. But we said it won't happen, but it could. And then Sean Strickland goes out there and does the damn thing.
Well, and I had in my $20 whenever I want to see again, I had both Sean Strickland to win and the fight to go to decision. So that was good because those are the only two bets I won in that segment. But the thing is, I was thinking about this because I don't know how you scored it. I don't know how deep in the weeds you want to get on the scoring question of this fight, but I felt like it was 3-2 Chimaev for me, but I can't get too mad at 3-2 Strickland. But the thing that I think made a big difference is that whether these are conscious biases or not, the judges, the rest of us, everybody kind of thought maybe Khamzat's going to steamroll him here. You see how it goes in the first round, and it looks like we're headed for a steamrolling. And so then when Strickland comes back in the second, Khamzat just looks like he falls off a cliff in the second round. And then, the third, fourth, and fifth rounds just end up being a completely different kind of fight, contested in a different area. Different things are happening. I think that it's in people's minds where they go, well, hey, look, if we're standing and trading now, it must be Sean Strickland's fight. This is what he wanted. He's getting what he wanted now. Khamzat's not able to do his stuff. And so therefore, Strickland's standing there backing up, landing jabs, and people are going, this is what Sean Strickland wanted, so therefore he must be winning this fight. And I'm going, I don't know that he is, because Khamzat is still landing the more impactful blows for most of that. He's doing more damage. Strickland is just sort of like jab, circle away, jab, circle away. Like his punches seem to be like a lot of times just like trying to keep Chimaev off of him rather than actually like doing a whole lot of damage, whereas Chimaev is winging right hands and smashing Strickland's nose at some point. So I felt like that affects people. Like the way they referred to it in that Combat Sports Officials Summit I went to was sympathy rounds. Like if one guy does really well in one round and then the other guy comes back in the next round and does better, but still maybe doesn't win the round, he will often get that round on the scorecards just because people are going, well, hey, look, he showed some signs of life. He did better, that he improved this time. And you shouldn't give him that round unless he actually won it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very close fight. I mean, if we're being honest, it might have been a draw, right? Like nobody wants to say that a title fight is a draw. Nobody wants to score a title fight as a draw. I think we're all happier that any title fight is not scored a draw. But if you remove like the artifice of the 10-point must system and you're just watching this fight, when it's over, you're probably like, I don't know, it seemed like a draw to me. But one question I do have, and I don't know if this is potentially a wrinkle of New Jersey still using the old rules for MMA, that they did not adopt the 2017 changes or whatever they were. How do you not give Khamzat Chimaev a 10-8 round?
In the first round?
First. Yeah.
Because
he controlled
really
that round for 4 minutes and 44 seconds.
Because control doesn't mean shit. That's why.
It does if it's the only thing in the round. It's literally the only thing in the round. Go back and read the rules as they're written.
I mean, that'll get you 10-9, but
tell me that that's not a 10-8 round. Go back and read the 10-8 rules, especially the 2017 10-8 rules.
When we sat there, okay, well, the 2017 10-8 rules, then you might be onto something. I don't know.
Well, that's what they're using. That's what they're using in New Jersey.
Are they using those as judging criteria?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, okay. Why are they still doing that? Fucking 10 years ago almost.
There's like one of like 4 or 5 states that said no. So you were dealing with the old judging criteria and old definition of a downed opponent. In any case, it was a very close fight.
The point that when I was at the Combat Sports Officials Summit, John McCarthy brought up on video, we watched the first round, I believe, of Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. Or not Sean Strickland, Khamzat and Dricus du Plessis, and just to see how people would score it. And when some people scored it a 10-8, he was adamant that they were wrong. That even though he dominated the round, he controlled it, it was a 10-9 because he did not do any damage. And here, I guess the same thing applies. So he did not really do any damage to Sean Strickland there. What's interesting to me, I think, is that you see that one-sided first round, and then by the second, clearly Khamzat has hit some kind of a wall.
Yeah.
Where
inexplicable and frankly indefensible from a champion, regardless of what it was, right? An adrenaline dump. I know he cut 40 some pounds, they said, or at least lost that much weight during his training camp to get down to 185. But you can't do that. That's indefensible as a champion. That's a thing you can do in your first UFC fight. You can't do it when you're the middleweight champ, man.
It also, I'm sure a lot of stuff's going to be said about weight cut, weight class, because he came up to Dana White apparently afterwards and said he don't want to fight at middleweight anymore. He wants to go to light heavyweight. That would seem to be a guy who, at least in the moment, thought the weight cut is what got me here. But it was crazy to me how in that second round, he seems to have nothing. He is pulling guard. He is just like laying back there, and you're just like, this dude is done. And then he finds a second wind, enough to stand there and strike with Sean Strickland. But you could tell the fact that in the fifth round, he went back to the takedowns shows you he was still thinking about that. He still felt like that was where he could win the fight, but did not trust his cardio, did not trust that he had enough in the tank to go do that. And so it was just like third and fourth round, mostly just standing there winging punches. And then when he knows, all right, this is the last round, I can empty the tank now, then he's going to go back to the takedowns kind of stuff. And so it was a little bit surprising to me where I'm just like, okay, here's where Sean Strickland has kind of all the cards, kind of all the advantages here. And still, he won't do more. He's still just like jab, 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 occasional right hand behind it, but also never really getting on the front foot, pushing Khamzat back, attacking him, looking like he's ever seriously close to finishing the guy or really hurting the guy. And that, in retrospect, where I'm kind of looking back on him, just being like, this is what makes people think best worst fighter. It's because you getting to do all your stuff still looks like that. Still looks like pecking away, and that's never going to be a thing where people come out and be like dominant middleweight champion, best middleweight in the world. They're going to be like, hey, you found a way to win this one. It helped you a little bit that your opponent ran out of gas. And that's just so much his style at this point. Like it very much, it at times feels like he's just sparring. That's his main training preference. It's his main cardio. He just likes to spar. And so when you get in some of these situations, it feels like he's just doing that. Like that's just the thing that comes automatically to him. And that's never going to blow people away.
He fights like a dispassionate psychopath, right? That's one of the things about Sean Strickland. Like we've talked about this a million times before about how he talks like he's going to get in there and just have a bloodbath fight to the death. And then what he does is circle around and land jabs for 25 minutes. But the one thing that strikes me about it that I don't think helps him is he looks so goddamn bored the whole time. He looks like when they talk about in Silence of the Lambs that Hannibal Lecter attacks his nurse and his blood pressure doesn't go above 128 over 85 or whatever the whole time that he's doing this. That's what Sean Strickland looks like. He kind of looks like sometimes like he would rather be somewhere else. Like he just wants to get this over with and head on to what he's really excited to do with his day.
Yeah, I mean, a dispassionate psychopath who mostly wishes you would just leave him alone. If you would stop coming forward and trying to fight him, he would leave you alone. Like that's the feel of it. It's not as if like he is just like relentlessly attacking. It's like you keep walking forward, and that's why he keeps jabbing you in the face. If you would turn around and exit the cage, he would be completely fine with that. And that I think is not. It doesn't really make an impression on people that like where they go, all right, this guy, best middleweight in the world, going to absolutely lay waste to the middleweight division. And he also just got like, you kind of look back through his career and you're just like, yeah, you got like have a win over Khamzat. You got that split decision win over Paulo Costa that nobody fucking liked. Of course, the TKO win over Fluffy Hernandez last time out. You got wins over Israel Adesanya, Nasruddin Imavov, like on paper. Like just in terms of like what's in the win column, there's some great victories in there that should tell you that this is a great middleweight. And then, you're also looking at a guy who lost to Jared Cannonier and Easy Dos Santos. And it just, the mind can't quite comprehend what we're dealing with here.
All right. Here's the 2012 criteria for 10-8 rounds, which I think is the one that New Jersey is still using I'm looking at an article by Paul Gift that says, while most states should be adopting all these changes, this is in 2017, MMA Fighting's Mark Raimondi reported last week that New Jersey, Ohio, Missouri, Colorado, Virginia, Maryland, and South Dakota will not adopt the new rules in full, with specific concern toward the new definition of a grounded opponent. Well, so it says, while the wording of a 10-9 round changed, its spirit did not. A much more significant change was made to the criteria for a 10-8 round. So here is the criteria of a 10-8 round in 2012. A round is to be scored as a 10-8 round when a contestant wins by a large margin by effective striking or effective grappling that have great impact on the opponent. So I guess it comes down to what you think impact means.
Yeah.
So that's a little nondescript there. But they did say at the top of the broadcast on this pay-per-view that New Jersey's still using the old rules. So I don't know. It's maybe it's a gray area at this point, but this was kind of a shocking result. I don't know what Khamzat Chimaev ultimately wants to do. Like you said, he wants to move up. He doesn't want to cut to 185 anymore. But now you actually have a promotable fight on your hands, right? This one coming into this fight we thought was going to be a walkover by Khamzat Chimaev. Now you actually have a fight that I would want to watch. Want to see if Sean Strickland can do it again, brother.
You want to turn right around and watch that again?
I would watch it again, yeah, because I feel like the strategy for Khamzat Chimaev was inexplicable. And the second round was inexplicable. And like I said, indefensible. And obviously, it's that second round that opens the door for Sean Strickland to win this thing, right? That's the round where this fight obviously changed, and then Strickland goes on to have this close fight where he wins a split decision. If Khamzat fights even a little bit of a different fight, right? If he has even a little bit of a better second round, if he tries to inflict his game even a little bit more in the third, fourth round before he starts going back for the takedowns, he probably wins this fight. So I don't know. We'll see what they do, but it was a quizzical performance, I thought, all the way around from your former middleweight champ.
Can we read this question from Friedrich Ludwig Gottlob Frege?
Of course. We can do whatever we want. It's our show.
It comes in with the subject line, what is the point of fake bad blood anymore?
Yeah.
So I think you see kind of where we're going from German philosopher and logician Gottlob Frege. In the Paramount Plus era, how does selling wolf tickets earn a fighter substantially more money? I know that in many countries outside the US, they still have pay-per-views, but that likely doesn't amount to much, if anything, for the fighters. Are championship contracts now tied to viewership numbers on P+? This was something that I found myself thinking about too, just because Sean Strickland saying afterwards, like, hey, I was just trying to hype the fight, went too far with it, but was just trying to hype up this fight. It wasn't really a big bad blood thing between him and Khamzat. They seemed friendly as hell once they got in the cage.
They sure did.
Touching gloves.
Khamzat Chimaev looked downright pleased to have lost the title. It seemed like after this thing.
Not only like after, but like beforehand, when he gets in the cage, we're touching gloves. We got all this security in there, like it's fucking Tyson Holyfield, and instead it's a couple guys who seem like they know each other and kind of like each other, and so. I agree that if you're going to hype up a fight, like Ariel was talking about this, and I said this right after when Sean Strickland was saying, like, oh, I was all just to hype up the fight. If you're going to do that, don't say it. Don't ever say it, especially not right after, but don't say that. You could say, like, all right, I went too far. I got carried away, something like that. Like if you want to like dial it back a little bit, but don't stand there and tell the fans, I was lying to you guys to trick you. That's all that was. Please, Khamzat, don't take it. Like, you can tell Khamzat that backstage if you want to. Be like, I didn't mean all that stuff, man. That was just to hype up the fight. You stand there on camera and tell everybody, like, I was bullshitting you guys. The thing that made you guys care about this fight, I was lying about that. Like, don't ever do that. That's dumb. And it's also
You're talking
dumb.
about don't break kayfabe is what you're saying.
Don't break
right now.
kayfabe. Yeah, if you're gonna do that, then fucking do it and stand by it. But don't stand afterwards and be like, "Oh, it was all just to hype up the fight," because presumably there's gonna be other fights, and you might want to do it again, and nobody gonna believe it.
This time I'm really mad at Khamzat Chimaev.
For real this time. But like, it is true. Like, I don't know how there's any extra money in it for you unless the UFC is, doing like the discretionary bonus thing where,
Right.
hey, if we're pleased, in this amorphous, vague way, then we will slide you an envelope with a bunch of money in it. And I don't know, man. Like, it just seems like I haven't heard any of the fighters say, I feel like we would have heard it by now if they're like, hey, when a event does really well on Paramount Plus, they give us more money.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say that. What I've heard them is, I hope my manager has figured the money part out.
Yeah.
I hope it's that I'm being made whole here, and nothing.
Yeah, we really don't know, right? It's a gray area at this point because we haven't really found out anything concrete about what they have done to change those contracts since doing away with the pay-per-view and moving to PLE. I mean, you could assume that the viewership numbers are probably pretty important to Paramount Plus since they shelled out billions and billions of dollars to have the UFC over there. So they're probably looking at those numbers, and it's probably important to the UFC brass on a certain level to have a good showing for Paramount. But it is kind of quizzical. You wonder if it is a situation of, this sport just taking a while to catch up with the changes, which sometimes happens, like guys are still out here maybe playing by the old rules and just doing what they have always done, what comes naturally to them. But yeah, it is a quizzical choice. And I did not have it on my bingo card to hear a plea for solidarity from Sean Strickland on the mic after it was over, saying that he loved his Christian fans, he loved his Muslim fans, he loved his Jewish fans. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was a very un-Sean Strickland post-fight speech from Sean Strickland.
Does Sean Strickland have Jewish fans? Be honest.
He loves all his fans, man. He wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, he would.
He went too far, he said. He wanted to apologize to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get what he was saying kind of about, hey, you go through 5 rounds of fighting, we're bleeding, we're tired, we're hitting each other in the face. You can't help but develop a little bit of respect and fellow feeling for the other guy. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like we've seen that definitely before, where, especially for Sean Strickland, where there's always seemed like fighting is kind of his therapy. Fighting and talking on Instagram while sitting in the front seat of his car. Those are his therapies. So I can understand how maybe at the end of it, he feels differently. He's emptied out a little bit of the hate tank that he carries around with him at all times. But at the same time, it's just sort of like, you told us you guys hated each other and it was going to be an absolute blood feud, absolute war. And then you stood there and you jabbed the guy. You're content to just jab, 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 circle away, jab, 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 circle away, leave me alone. And then afterwards, you love them. And everybody's going, what the fuck, man? What the fuck is this?
It's possible that by this point, we should know what we're getting into with Sean Strickland.
It's possible.
But he's the middleweight champ, so we'll hear from him again. So That's good to know. Ben, Pledge Month is rolling right along, though. Frankly, it's hard to believe that there's still 3 weeks left of this thing because we've already blown past all of the challenges that we set up for the listeners during the month of May. Just yesterday, we published our What MMA Was Like When We Started This Shit special episode over on the Patreon. It's part of a 3 or 4 episode mini series that we're running over there to celebrate the co-main event's 14th birthday. This was a look back mostly at the years of 2011, 2012, back when we started this show and what was happening in MMA at the time. And I have to say, until we really started to go back and check the record, bud, I was unprepared to face how different and wild a scene it was back then.
Yeah. Crazy stuff was happening. Absolutely crazy. And and happening all over the world. But you don't even think about Belo Horizonte, Brazil so much anymore, do you? Hardly ever think about Uberlandia, but that was back when Brazil was the new Canada.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of changes over the lifetime of this show. Don't forget, we're having a live watch party for patrons this Saturday, May 16th. We're going to watch the MVP MMA show. We'll be hanging out together. You can go over to the Patreon, sign up, and get yourself invited to that. For Pledge Month this month, every patron gets bumped up one patronage tier throughout the month of May. If you're a $3 patron, you get access to the $5 content. If you're a $5 patron, you get access to the $10 content, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody knows we're sweetening the deal for $20 patrons, and we set up a group of challenges for the listeners. We said if we get 20 new people to join the Patreon, or I'm sorry, 10 new people to join the Patreon at the $20 annual subscription level, we're going to bring back Are You Fucking Kidding Me on this show for $20 patrons. We busted right through that. We said if we get 20 upgrades to the $20 annual subscription level, we were bringing back Just Saying Stuff on the version of the proper that you get if you're a $20 patron. We busted through that, so that's happening. Are You Fucking Kidding Me and Just Saying Stuff are back. If we got 25 people to sign up for the annual subscriptions at the $20 level, we were going to do the Wire Season 1 rewatch. We blew through that, so that is happening. All of this stuff is happening, and we are also introducing the monthly TV movie book club for $20 patrons, where at the beginning of the month, the $20 patrons will get to choose a topic via a poll, via the democratic process. And then at the end of the month, you and I will do a show on whatever it was. And now we're sitting here in a predicament where we don't have any challenges left. And so on the fly, we're sitting here trying to think of some. And the ones I thought of are seismic, man.
Seismic.
I hesitate to even say them out loud. You know what I mean?
Do it, Ferg.
All right, let me check my notes here. Right now, we are sitting at 37 signups or upgrades to the $20 annual level. I say, then you can tell me if this isn't going to work for you. If we get to 50, we're moving the proper back to Monday for the $20 patrons.
What?
So we record the show on Monday. If you're a $20 patron, you get the ad-free version of the show that has Are You Fucking Kidding Me and Just Saying Stuff on Monday afternoon when we record the show. Everybody else has to wait until Tuesday. They get the version that has the ads. They won't have Are You Fucking Kidding Me and Just Saying Stuff.
What?
If we get to 50, what do you think? Can we do it?
It's wild. You crazy for this one, Chad Dundas.
I know. I think we can do it. I think if we get to 50, we can move the proper back to Monday for the $20 patrons.
Wait, what if I do the back? No, there's no way. There's no way these people can do it, Chad.
No, I don't know.
I don't believe in them.
We gotta get to 50. We got a lot of ways to go to 50 still.
There's no way the terrible CME listening audience can possibly rise to this challenge. I don't believe it.
You're doing Sean Strickland right now.
There.
You're doing Sean Strickland right now. You know that, right?
I'll maintain it. I'll take it to the grave. That's the difference between me and Sean Strickland, is when I adopt a persona like that, I'm never going to break.
There you are. If we get to 50, we're moving the proper back to Monday for $20 patrons. We got 3 more weeks to do this, and that's just a lot of time. This has been a shocking response that we are obviously very thankful for. All the little co-maniacs, the best people in mixed martial arts.
How about I'll throw this in? If we get to 50, when we do our Wire rewatch, I will sing the theme song that we use for the episode each time. When you walk through the garden, I'll do the guitar sounds too with my mouth. Don't think I won't. Better watch your back.
If we get to 50, he's going to do the guitar sounds with his mouth, ladies and gentlemen.
Doing it all from memory, by the way. I'm not going to look it up and make sure I'm right about it. I might mess up some lyrics. I might go off script a little. I might get off the map with my mouth guitar playing. We never know, but I will do it.
Okay. Well, that's where we're at. See if we can get to 50. I don't know. Head over to patreon.com/co-main event and sign up. If you ever thought about joining the Patreon, this is probably the best month to do it. All right. Like we always do about this time, Ben, let's do a little bit of listener mail.
Listener mail.
We got this one from Dan Alexander, who wrote in to say, Joshua Van Brawl Fang just put on a display for the ages. Slick on the feet, technical and tactical on the ground. Behind his broad, warm smile, there's a nasty dude enjoying the accumulative damage he can inflict on his opponents. Is the Dundas Folks co-main event going to acknowledge the Van Taira co-main event to ensure that it's not completely overshadowed by Strickland versus Chimaev? Love you both on the proper equally, but I have to come clean. For almost a year, I've been cheating on you both, enjoying the Patreon content behind your backs. But I promise it's not you, it's me. I mean, if you wanted a good fight, you got it in the co-main event,
Yeah,
because
man, this was great.
Flyweight's going to flyweight is essentially what happened down here. Josh Van and Tatsuro Taira. How Tatsuro Taira survived that, was it second round where he got absolutely starched. I have no idea, man. I have no idea how he survived that, how he made it as far as he did. Fighting Josh Van, it has to be said, with his hands down for a lot of the time, which turned out to be a pretty bad game plan for him. And then once you get to the actual stoppage, it was sort of like a, okay, we've seen enough of this kind of stoppage, right?
I mean, I was amazed that Taira was still in this fight for as long as he was, and then still was fucking mad to have this fight stopped even when he was getting hammered. And it's crazy to me because like you said, at the end of that second round where he drills him right in the center of the face with that right hand, drops him, and especially when you see the way his head bounces when he lands. Usually guys don't come back from that. That means like you were out of it there for a minute.
I mean, it seemed like he was out on the way down. It could have been one of these situations where he's out on the way down and then he wakes up when he hits the canvas, because this was some borderline Glass Joe shit, the way he got knocked down.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like he holds on to the end of the round there, gets up, doesn't really know where his corner is, doesn't know where he's going. And you're going like, all right, he's going to get the 60 seconds to recover. He's still going to be out of it. And, then there's several moments in the third and the fourth round where he's getting absolutely rocked, and you're going, here it comes. Here it is. Like, Joshua Van is about to put him away, and he doesn't. And then Taira will get back in it somehow. Like it both ways, where he'll be like throwing punches and you're like, well, shit, that actually looked like a pretty sharp punch that might have hurt. And then getting a takedown when he needed it, getting him back down on the ground. He's just like, how the hell is he still this capable after taking that kind of a punishment? Because you could see it, man. Like his nose is busted up, both eyes are swelling up. The damage is so evident, and yet he has the ability to just sort of rally right back from that. And I was amazed by it. I was frankly amazed by both guys in this fight. And it was an incredible fight. Another one that made me come away going, remember when the UFC was talking about just cutting this division altogether, just getting rid of it? They consistently give you great performances. And it did a lot for Joshua Van in the, do we look at you as the real champion question?
Yeah.
Because, I still think you got to beat the man. Everybody out there who really follows it is going like, well, you beat Pantoja sort of on a little bit of a technicality, kind of on a weird freak play. And until we see you actually beat him, we won't be entirely convinced. But this really helped.
Yeah.
Go out there and have like a great fight that everybody got very excited about, and to win it that way, that helped.
Yeah, absolutely. You can view him as a little bit more of the legitimate champion at this point, although he still has you got to beat the man to be the man task in front of him. I loved when he was on the mic calling out Pantoja and they were showing Pantoja in the crowd, and Josh Van said, we can run it back. And Pantoja repeated to himself, you could read his lips, he repeated to himself, run it back. As if to say, like, we didn't even fucking fight the first time, man. What the fuck are we running back?
He also said, we can run it back if you want. And that was when, I think it was the if you want, where Pantoja, he did the Obama face at the gift from the press conference, where Obama's like, what the fuck are you saying, man? If I want, like, I'm going to be like, no, thanks, I'm good. Like, of course, yeah, we're going to run it back, dude, whatever. And That I thought was hilarious because it wasn't even like Pantoja out there like getting mad, being like, "Motherfucker, I'm coming for." Like he was just sitting there like shrugging, like, "What is this dude saying?" You
Yeah.
know, I love that.
Bemused.
Yeah.
Bemused expression on Pantoja's face there. I was thinking about this as it was happening. Do you feel like people have kind of come around to appreciate the flyweights more? Like, I know you're not going to be headlining big time pay-per-views with Josh Van or Pantoja or whoever it happens to be. But just remember, like, when Demetrius Johnson was the champion, he's doing all these amazing things every time out. They were hiding him. They were putting him on these fight night events where it didn't even feel like they wanted people to see him. Now you go out there and you get into a scrap like this. I do feel like maybe this is just me and maybe it's intangible, but I do feel like there is a broader admission in the sport. Like, okay, this is a really good division that consistently gives you great fights, and we will appreciate a Josh Van versus Tatsuro Taira, even if the thing most people want to talk about is how the fuck did Sean Strickland do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to appreciate him at this point, especially a fight like that, because that's one where if you just show the back and forth, the wild swings to somebody, how do you not get into it? I mean, Josh Van is landing hammers at some point, and Tyra keeps coming back. And so, like, I think that kind is really easy to appreciate. The kind that I think is that I wish people were a little better at appreciating is like the same way that you show up to one of these fight cards, you look at the undercard, you see two heavyweights who aren't two of the elite, to the very vanishing few elite heavyweights in the division. You know, you might be in for some ugliness. You might be in for some straight bullshit. You know, when you see two flyweights who aren't even, you know, top guys or anything, but they're UFC flyweights, that they're going to be technically sound in every fucking area of the game. They're going to be in shape. They're going to be able to do absolutely everything. And like you can count on that the same way you can count on a couple fat heavyweights making a mockery of the sport at times. So like that, I think ought to like get some credit. Like even if these aren't the two best flyweights in the world, even if you don't have these guys circled as like the top guys in the division, if they make it to the UFC as flyweights, they are fucking good.
Yeah.
And they're good at everything.
Another thing that separated this flyweight fight from the heavyweight division is that this was a 24-year-old against a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
In a title fight. So that's nice to see. All right, we got this one from @PissedOffLawyer. He wrote in to say, two-time UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland, and then in parentheses he says, "My God," has publicly objected to the recent nonsense from the mouth of Josh Hokett, a graduate of the, quote, Covington School of Stupid, Cringe, Attention-Seeking Bullshit. Is this best viewed as hypocrisy on Strickland's part, or a sign that Hokett is crossing lines that even someone like Strickland knows not to cross? Both? Something else? Discourse. This was another thing that I didn't expect to see from Sean Strickland, in addition to his plea for unity across religious and philosophical lines after this fight. This guy's on social media saying Josh Hokett is taking it too far.
Yeah, especially it was weird because it's like he didn't have to offer any opinion on that. He could have just kept quiet on it, and he chose to be like, "Oh, hey, this guy. I think this guy is fucking up." And he even did some with some self-awareness where he was just like, you know, I know that's crazy coming from me, but yeah, it's the thing to me that was so funny about the Josh Hokett thing is that they kicked him out of that press conference. The UFC kicked Dana White, like whispered in somebody's ear and was like, "Get this guy fucking out of here." Think about all the bullshit we have seen, man. Think about all the crazy shit we've seen. Like, you know, you must have just been so goddamn annoying to everybody for them to be like, "Get him out of here." Because it's not like, oh, he said one too many outrageous things, we can't risk it with our sponsors. And no, hell no. They're not doing that. They're just being like, this fucking guy, get him out of here. I'm sick of listening to him. That's incredible.
The thing that I hate the most about Josh Hokett's persona is that it's working. That's the thing I hate the most about it. He got Ilia Topuria to throw something at him. at this press conference.
Hit him
It's
right in the
working.
sunglasses, though. That was pretty.
Well, yeah, if Ilya Topuria throws something at you, he's going to hit you with it.
Yeah,
like that's
he don't
just
miss.
That guy. He's going to hit you with it. Next question this week comes to us from J-Dog, who wrote in to say, anybody else notice journalists throwing heat toward Dana White regarding the co-promotion of Fury Joshua, not to mention the breakdown of pay to Zuffa boxers / Conor and other fighters? I personally loved it. Nice to see people pressing real issues in the MMA community. What do you guys think? Now, this was at the post-fight press conference, but we also wanted to mention the work done by Charlemagne the God on the syndicated radio show, The Breakfast Club in New York City, who had Dana White on during fight week last week. And Dana White was not prepared to get that work from Charlemagne the God. He thought he was going on one of these podcasts that he goes on where the Nelk boys are just like, can you give us some money, Uncle Dana? No, he had to answer some questions. He had to answer follow-up questions. And to his credit, MMA Journalist of the Year, perhaps, Charlemagne the God, would not let Dana White off the hook in this. It was glorious, if I do say so.
It was incredible. And then I noticed, I don't know when he actually sat for this, but I noticed the clips from some other podcast thing coming out on Monday. So it was like, okay, so he's right back to that bullshit. Like he went right back to another one of these where, the clips I saw coming out were all just like, the media knows nothing and therefore no one can ever criticize me. Don't ever ask me about AI. Just shut up and watch the fight. Just doing his classic thing where he's like, mindlessly consume my product and give me zero feedback or criticism, just your money and attention. And the other guy sitting there is like, hell yeah, Dana. And you're just like, okay, that's the one he wants to do. Charlemagne the God, he doesn't want that kind of heat. He was getting it there and must have walked out of there being like, don't ever book me on this shit again or you're fired.
Yeah. Someone got in trouble. I can guarantee you that whoever booked him on that show got in trouble. And then they were at the post-fight press conference asking him about Conor Benn's deal with Zuffa Boxing, and Dana White tried to be like, oh, ask Conor if he wants to tell you about his contract. You should ask him. And the guy was just like, but you're his promoter.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, the whole thing with the saying that he's promoting Fury Joshua, and it's just like, I keep going back to this. I've wondered it when he was doing the slap fighting stuff, and I'm just like, why isn't it enough for you to be the president of the world's biggest and basically only successful at this point MMA organization, like global MMA organization? You won. You did that. You're running the show, and yet you still need to find all these ways to kind of just like put your name on a bunch of other shit. I mean, I guess I'm asking a dumb question, especially Dana and Trump are boys. A couple guys love to put their name on shit all over the time and love to take credit for things, whether they're doing it or not. But it's just like, why isn't it just enough to run the UFC? The money machine UFC makes $1 billion a year from Paramount. We just heard in that TKO earnings call, every quarter we're making more money than we did last quarter, which it's an ATM spitting out cash. You're at the top of it. It doesn't seem to require even that much work from you because you have plenty of time for podcast appearances and shit like that. Why isn't it enough to just be that guy? Why is he constantly trying to claim to be all these other guys too?
Do you think it may be because Dana White's soul is a paper cup with a hole in the bottom of it?
Okay.
That no matter how much success and money and fame you pour into that cup, it never fills up?
That is a possibility.
That's what I think it might be. All right, I want to sneak in one more here from Josh Montgomery before we wrap up listener mail. His subject line was 3 hours, 48 minutes. He writes, when the Paramount Plus deal announced that they were moving the main card start times up by an hour to 8 p.m. Central, I was pumped. I work a swing shift schedule and often have to be up for work at 4 on Sunday morning. Aside from the product weakening over the years, the late nights increasingly drove this old man away from the product. I committed to UFC 328 because I wanted to see the main event. By the time Strickland wrapped up his interview with Joe Rogan, it was 11:48 p.m. we all basically sat through a 14-inning baseball game at that point, and I'm tired as fuck, and I just arose to work. See, he's tired.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't cost as much now, but this shit is ridiculous. What we've learned is that they will fill the time.
Yeah.
Right?
We thought when they bumped up the time that we were going to get the same show just starting earlier and therefore finishing earlier. And instead, what happened was they bumped up the time so that they had room to cram in a bunch more ads. And the show was still going to take around the same length of time.
Yeah, just an extra hour for the ads. All right, that's going to do it for listener mail this week. If you have a question, comment, or concern you want to air to the podcast in future weeks, you know how to do it. Go to the website, co-mainevent.com, and click the link in the top right-hand corner of the screen that says email the podcast. That'll get you in touch with us. Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano doing the damn thing this weekend. We'll talk about that right after this. Ben, if we had done just saying stuff this week on the show, my just saying stuff would have been, I love how much Ronda Rousey hates Hunter Campbell. It is one of my favorite things happening in MMA right now. I'm just saying, I think it's glorious.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to hear her return to that well when she was on Ariel's show on Monday, because, she did a little bit, then she had picked on Kayla Harrison one of these press conferences for a while, and we kind of thought, well, maybe that's her realizing fans will get more into it if you're beefing with another fighter rather than a UFC executive who they may or may not know who the fuck you're talking about. But then she went hard on him on Ariel's show. Basically, the interesting thing to me was about the way that she portrayed these sort of negotiations with the UFC about whether they wanted to get the Rousey Carano fight, and that it seems from her telling as if it happened pretty much entirely with Hunter, and that he was just like, I don't know if anybody will want to watch you guys now. You're both older. You haven't fought in a while. I don't know if this would be a popular event for us, and just trying to like drive her price down on it by getting her to believe like you're not as valuable as you think. And she said that when she walked out of there and she told like Dana White, like, no, we're not doing this. Like, Netflix has made an offer. If you guys aren't going to match, like, then we're going to go do that. And, don't take it personal. And that Dana White was just like, yeah, go get your money. Like, I hope you get paid as much as you possibly can. That dynamic that she's describing kind of makes it seem like if you want to talk business, you got to go talk to Hunter. And then fill Dana White on how it went later on. He's not in a position one way or another to say yes or no, which is interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and that he is bound by the corporate budget, right?
Yeah.
Like he is acknowledging, I can't give you this money. You better go get it from someone else, which is a weird tacit admission from Dana White.
I can't give you this money, especially because we need to save it for stock buybacks and $67 million in incentives for Ari Emanuel.
Mm-hmm. Ronda Rousey just looking like a cute librarian in this interview with Ariel Helwani. Did you see this? And her little her clear frame glasses. I started watching this. I was like, I don't even know who that is. And then once I heard her opening up the flamethrower on Hunter Campbell, I was like, oh shit, that's Ronda Rousey. She looks like you would walk up to the desk and she would like point you in the direction of the atlases. You know what I mean?
Chad Dundas saying cute librarian. That's going to be your version of Dana White saying Diaz brother in a beautiful fucking body.
She would notarize your car title for you if you needed her to.
I don't know if you've seen any of the seat map kind of things. It looks like there's still plenty of good seats available.
I haven't seen the seat map. That doesn't really surprise me from a live live standpoint, but I do feel like this is going to do big numbers on Netflix. Do you think I'm wrong about that?
No, I think that's exactly the kind of audience that this can play well toward, is just because people would be like, all right, I already got Netflix or I got a subscription I could easily restart. Let's see what this shit is. And especially like as always, the big challenge is letting people know there's a fight on Saturday night, when and where and how and when they can watch it. And once you get past that part, I do think like you've created enough of a thing with these Netflix events that as much as watching the fights, what people enjoy about that is being in on the conversation. And I think Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano can help get you there, even with like a more casual audience.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the people we're going for here, right? Well, we know MMA people are going to tune in against our better judgment, or at least against our expectations for what kind of fight you're actually going to get here. But yeah, casual people, you're going to turn on Netflix. They're going to have the big banner up there that's like, hey, watch this fight. Maybe you vaguely remember one of these two people. If you don't, maybe you want to watch it anyway. So I think they're going to do pretty well on Netflix. I guess the question is, what kind of fight are we going to get from Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano? The odds are prohibitive, right, in favor of Ronda, which is totally understandable. She and Gina Carano have been very courteous and respectful for the most part to each other, especially by Ronda Rousey standards leading up to this. We all expect Ronda Rousey to just crush her, basically clean her clock. What do you think? Are we going to get, is Ronda Rousey going to go out there, judo, head and arm throw, arm bar in like 55 seconds? Or are we going to do a thing where maybe she carries Gina Carano for a little while?
Yeah, see, that's the thing to me is when you ask like what kind of a fight are we going to get, it seems to me the real question is what kind of fight does Ronda Rousey want to give us? Because it does seem like it will be up to her to decide what we do here. If she wants to go out there, go right across the cage, take Gina down an arm bar, and one of those classic quick Ronda Rousey finishes, I absolutely think she could. I think, Gina Carano been out the game for so long. I didn't go back and fact check this one, but it feels right. Maybe I'll try to look it up right now. But somebody was saying that to put everything in perspective about just like how long Gina Carano has really been out of the game, Max Holloway's entire professional career has taken place in the time that she's been gone, which does seem to be true. I think her last fight was 2009.
Yeah.
Max Holloway made his pro debut September of 2010. So Max Holloway has 36 pro fights. He has been in the UFC now for 14 years. And the entirety of his career took place since the last time Gina Carano fought.
Well, I was going to say, who else had the entirety of her professional career since the last time Gina Carano fought? That would be Ronda Rousey, because her professional debut was 2011. So nearly 2 full years after Gina Carano last fight. But then when you say that Max Holloway has had 36 fights, that brings it home for you. Yeah. 36 fights since the last time Gina Carano was in the cage.
So, and I believe Gina Carano got back in the gym, took this seriously, got herself in shape, tried to catch up as much as possible on what's been happening in the sport of MMA, the developments that may have happened since the last time she was in there. But just athletically, skill set wise, Ronda Rousey was already ahead of her. And I think that if Ronda wants to make it a quick fight, get Gina down, armbar, she absolutely can. If she decides to stand there and trade for a little while longer, then I think she's carrying her. I think that it's Ronda saying, we got to give these people a little bit of a show after all this. Because I could see that. I could see her going with that route. I mean, I'll tell you this. I don't feel Francis Ngannou is going to have any of the same feeling toward Felipe Lins.
You don't think he's going to try to carry Felipe Lins?
I don't think he's going to be like, we owe these people a show, Felipe. I think he's going to go out there and just try to land one big bomb and go home.
Well, Ronda Rousey is minus 535 against Gina Carano, which I almost feel like isn't wide enough.
Yeah.
Odds. Francis Ngannou is minus 1450 against Felipe Lins. He is far and away the biggest favorite on the main card. And, maybe I just get this way when Big Fran fights these days. but I feel scared.
Yeah.
I feel scared about it. This is like, and I've just been watching the sport too long, man. And I know that you bring back the dominant, like big money, like attraction who, if he wins, he might have a big money thing. Historically speaking, I feel like that guy loses and in an insane upset. Now, is
Especially
Francis Ngannou? Yeah,
it's heavyweight MMA, isn't it? So
yeah.
that's the kind of shit that would happen.
Yeah. Are we going to be looking for Felipe Linz's jaw under the seats in the front row when this thing is over? Probably. But man, Fran's getting up there in years. It's been a while. If I had $20 I never wanted to see again, and I mean really never wanted to see again.
Like maybe I was concerned that this $20 bill was cursed and I'd like to get it away from me.
Yeah. A $20 bet on Felipe Linz at plus 850 would win you $190.
Speaking of betting odds, when I went and looked to see what are the line on Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey, you know, and I saw at Caesars, Gina plus 400, Ronda minus 550. Now, if you go down and you look at what the odds are for the White House fights, they got Ilia Topuria, Caesars, the same sportsbook, at minus 900, and Justin Gaethje at plus 550. Man, if you're in the gym, you need to fire up Justin Gaethje. It's late in the training session. You're Trevor Whitman. The guy's just not digging deep enough for you today. Whisper in his ear. They think Gina Carano has a better chance to beat Ronda Rousey than you do to beat Ilia Topuria at the White House.
Wow, that really puts it in perspective, man.
You'll see that little explosion in the pupils of his eyes, and then he bangs out 5 more hard rounds.
Mike Perry, a minus 218 favorite over Nick Diaz. I'm sorry, Nate Diaz. He'd be a big time favorite over Nick Diaz. Is that right? Do you think? I mean, I know the last times we've seen Nate, he hasn't seemed super interested or great, but I don't know. Minus 218? Am I just remembering the old Diaz?
Yeah, I mean, how would you see him beating Mike Perry?
Just a lot of jabs, a lot of middle fingers.
Yeah. I mean,
take him down. Arm
he's
triangle.
Not going to do that.
Triangle
He's
choke.
not going to take him down. That's the thing. He
could though. He could.
Yeah, well, he will do the jiu-jitsu if you take him down.
Yeah.
Then
worst thing you can do.
Jiu-jitsu, but he's not going to take you down. He just doesn't have it in him to shoot for a takedown. So I don't know. Nate Diaz just hasn't looked good and in a long time, and Mike Perry has looked like he's pretty dialed in at what he does over at BKFC against Nate Diaz. I know it's an MMA fight. We're wearing MMA gloves, MMA rules, but Nate Diaz is probably going to give you that kind of a fight that you want for the most part. It's not like he's known to be out there just shredding people's legs with kicks or anything. You know, like you're probably going to get something that very much resembles what you would have gotten in a bare knuckle boxing match, just with gloves on your hands. So unless Mike Perry completely gasses out, I'd say he's got this.
Worst thing you can do against a Diaz brother is put them in a position where they remember that they know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing you can do against them.
They won't bring it up, but if you bring it up, then you know they'll dive right into that conversation.
I saw an internet video that it seemed like maybe they had done a sit down face off between Mike Perry and Nate Diaz, and Mike Perry was talking, and at one point Nate Diaz put his hand up like he was in class, like he had a comment to make, and then they called on him. And he just made some noises. Like he didn't even say words. Like it seemed like he was saying words, but he was doing it in that sort of Nate Diaz, I'm also swallowing my breath kind of mumbly sort of way. And I was just like, well, that didn't stoke my confidence any about this fight. Is he saying words right now?
This is a thing for you. You insist that a guy says words if you're going to feel confident.
I would feel more confident if a guy is saying words. I'm sure he said words at different junctures in the interview, and the only clip that I saw was him just making noises, Diaz noises. But I don't know. And I feel like the The headline or the tagline on the video was Nate Diaz silences Mike Perry without saying a word.
Well,
And I was like,
Mike
that's,
Perry silent while he was making sounds?
those videos are short.
Before we get out of here, I mean, I'm sure we'll end up talking more about this. We got a watch party coming up for this thing for the CME patrons. What is your current hype level?
Pretty high, honestly. We haven't done a watch party in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. I want to see what we're doing, what MVP is doing. I want to see, like, what's the broadcast like? What are we, what are our production values? What are our fighter entrances? More than like the fights themselves, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing, like, what are the vibes? What are we bringing to the MMA world that is either the same as what we normally get from MMA and an MMA broadcast, or what are we doing that brings us? Are we doing anything with a different flavor? Are you giving me a slightly different experience? And are we going to do this more? I guess are the things that I want to know. But the watch party will be awesome. Any patron can get in for the watch party. We hope we have a good crowd. Like I said, it's been a while since we did one. They're generally fun. I think we're doing another one for the White House, right? Again, I'm just saying stuff out loud that I don't even know if we can pull it off. But if you are available, if you don't have to be somewhere with Pizzi, God damn it, maybe we'll do a live watch party for the White House.
I think I should be available.
Okay.
How much do you think it's going to hurt the Netflix MVP MMA audience to be counter-programmed by UFC Fight Night, Allen versus Costa from the Meta Apex in Las Vegas?
Yeah, and it's not even the Costa that comes to your mind.
Nope. Arnold Allen versus Milkwazel Costa.
Mm-hmm.
Also got the Korean Superboy on this one, Modestas Bukauskas, and not a lot else.
Probably not going to hurt the general audience for Rousey versus Carano. All right, that's going to do it this week for the Co-Main Event podcast. Remember, we're over on the Patreon all week. If you want to get this show back on Mondays, head over there and sign up for the $20. It has to be the annual subscription. The annual subscription.
These people won't do it, Chad. They don't have it in them.
Do you think they're afraid?
They're cowards.
You think they're scared?
They lack the guts to step up to the plate and join in an annual subscription to the Co-Main Event podcast. You don't have the makings of a CME patron. Is it working, do you think?
Brother. All right. If you sign up for the Patreon, we'll see you tomorrow for the live chat and the rest of the week. If you don't, we'll catch you right back here next week. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate the support. As for right now, we are done. We are through. We are out. You know what the other thing, since I've been watching MMA for so long, what the other thing that I halfway expect to happen is that when you get Ilia Topuria in that cage in the main event of the UFC White House card, he's going to be looking across the cage at Arman Tsarukyan.
Okay.
I mean, isn't that a thing you could see totally happening before your big time White House event?
What I could see happening is that it's Justin Gaethje who's looking across the cage at Arman Tsarukyan.
I mean, that would be an even bigger clusterfuck, obviously. But we've seen this shit go wrong before. Let me just say that.
Well, we all know that they will be wearing these red, white, and blue fight kits, even if they're not American and don't give a shit about this country. As the big homie Casey Leiden put it, the fight kits look like we're taking the toughest people in the world and making them look like dorks in a Target catalog.
Can't wait.